So with regard to mammals, what we were discussing in our previous class are that mammals are warm-blooded animals. They possess mammary glands, they have hairs, and in addition to that, they also have some other salient features which distinguish it from other groups of animals. Now you know that mammals are of all the mammals are not of the same type. We have seen kangaroos are the marsupial mammals are the so they have some kind of difference from the normal mammals we are finding. So generally all the mammals, if you take the mammals as a whole, they are divided into three groups or three subclasses are there. The first subclass is known by the name Prototheria, second one is Metatheria, and third one is Eutheria. This is how we are classifying mammals or dividing mammals into number of groups. So today we will be taking the first subclass, that is Prototheria. The term proto, here there is a term known as proto. If you take that term, proto means primitive. It also means first, and theria means animal. So Prototheria, the word meaning or the literal meaning of the word Prototheria is that they are the first animals or the primitive animals. Because if you take mammals, these are the most primitive or earliest group in mammals. So that is why they are known by the name Prototheria. So here you can find the main features of the subclass Prototheria. The first character is that they are egg-laying mammals. I will show you the pictures of this animal. Here you can find some examples of this Prototheria, and we say all these animals are egg-laying because normally if you take any mammal, they are giving birth to live young ones. That is how all the mammals are reproducing. Majority of the mammals do not lay any eggs. But in the case of this group of animals or this group of mammals, they are laying eggs just like reptiles, snakes or birds or crocodile. They are laying eggs. So they are egg-laying mammals. So that is an important difference from other groups of mammals. So that is why we place them in a separate subclass known by the name Prototheria. Basically, egg-laying nature is a characteristic feature of reptile. You take crocodile, you take lizard, gecko, all these group of animals are laying eggs. So this is a proof that the formation or evolution of mammals has taken place from earliest reptile. It is some kind of reptile that developed or that got modified and finally become the mammals. So regarding the evolution or origin of mammals, scientists are now have discovered that it is by the modification of some group of reptiles the group mammals have evolved or formed in the world. So that is why that one important feature are they are egg-laying mammals. Now what is the second term point? Unfinished mammals. Unfinished means their work is not complete. Because we say that this group of mammals have evolved from reptiles, but this conversion process has not been complete. There are a number of reasons for that. We will be discussing those reasons in following points. Even though they have developed from reptiles, they are still moved away from reptile. They do not have many characteristic features of reptile. For example, if you take a reptile, most of them will be having a dry skin. Majority of them may not be having any body. Reptiles do not have any body hair, and also other characteristic features also. But in the case of this primitive group, we can call half reptile and half mammal. That is how this group is still living. So that is why they are known as the unfinished mammals, and that point will be clear in coming points. Then living fossil. You might have studied about fossil. In high school class onwards, you may be remembering or learning that fossils are remains of past animals which lived in the past. So the remains of past animals are known by the name fossil. But in the use of, for example, fossils of dinosaur, skeletal remains of dinosaurs. So we call it as a fossil. Sometimes fossils of mammoth. And if you go to Siberia, there are many areas in Siberia which are mostly ice covered. So these mammoth-like animals which lived there in the ancient past are still preserved intact, just like we are preserving fish or meat in our freezer. These animals are preserved intact without any kind of damage or decay. So they are known as a fossil. But living fossils means, these are the term living fossil means animals which are living, but their formation might have taken place several millions of years back. That is why this group of animals which have formed several millions of years back are considered to be living fossil, because just like fossils are past animals, remains of past animals, they also give us some information about how animals were living in the ancient past. That is why these animals are called as living fossil, because their origin has been several millions of years ago, but still they are living in the present world. So that is why, so animals which have their origin several millions of years back, but still surviving in the present world, are known as living fossil. So there are many groups of animals like that, other than this egg-laying mammal. Then indigenous to Australia and New Guinea. Well, Australia you may be knowing, and New Guinea is an island between Australia and Indonesia. Indonesia also you might have learned a little. It's a very large country with thousands of islands. Now between Indonesia and Australia there is a small island, not so small, medium-sized island is there. That island is known as New Guinea. So right now we are finding these egg-laying mammals only in these two islands, these two areas. One is Australia. Australia is a very large giant-sized island actually. So then we can also find it in New Guinea. In no other part of the world, there are several other continents in the world, we cannot find any indication of any member of this prototheria. Then, since I told you earlier that this formation of mammals have actually taken place from reptiles. So here you can see that they are still showing some of the reptilian features. See, let's see what are the reptiles. For example, have a single bone in their lower jaw. Single bone. That is a characteristic. About the reptilian characteristics, I will tell you that most of the, for example, if you are taking the egg-laying nature itself, egg-laying nature is a reptilian character, and in their skeleton also there are some important features which are showing the reptilian ancestry, about which we will be seeing again. Now, other point you just focus on, have a single bone in their lower jaw. I told you in the last class, what is the name of that single lower jaw bone? There is a bone here we have. What is that? There is many bones in the lower jaw united or fused with each other, forming a single bone. What is that? There is a name for that. It is dendary. Last class I think I have told you, dendary. So it's a very strong bone. So that bone is still present here. Then another characteristics of mammals I have discussed. What is that? Three middle bones. What is the name of three middle bones? Ear ossicles. There are three bones are the malleus, ingus and stapes. You have been studying that from your high school biology class onwards. Three middle bones are there. So that is a characteristic feature of mammal. In other group of animals, we cannot find three middle bones. So only in this mammals, so presence of these three middle bones indicate that they are mammals. So it's a distinguishing feature of the mammal. The next point is that high metabolic rate. High metabolic rate. For example, if you compare the rate of what is metabolism, all the activities going on in your body is considered as metabolism. There may be anabolism and there may be catabolism. So this you have studied. So the total activities going on in your body is known as a metabolism, and the rate of this activity or metabolic rate of these animals is comparatively higher than metabolic rate of snakes or other groups of reptiles. So that is the meaning of that sentence. Then they have bodily hair. The presence of body hair is an indication that they are mammals. Because in fishes, amphibians, reptiles or birds we cannot see proper hair. So presence of body hair is a feature that they are mammals. And another important feature is that the most important feature that we consider in a mammal is the presence of mammary gland and ability to produce milk. This animal is having that feature. They can produce milk, they have mammary glands also. So there is an important feature of this group of animals. So even though they do not have any properly developed nipple or other things, still they are able to produce milk, and they also possess mammary gland. So we have to say that they are mammals. So if you take all these characteristics, we have to say that these are proper mammals. But at the same time, as in the second point it is mentioned, they are unfinished mammals. Unfinished mammal, their conversion process is not complete. They are in a very primitive state still. So that is why we call it by the name unfinished mammals. Then there is another term for this prototheria. They are also known by monotremes. So the term monotremata or monotremes is another term for this prototheria. So, and they lack corpus callosum. Where do you find corpus callosum? Have you heard about that term? You have certainly studied in your high school or plus 2 biology. Where do you find corpus callosum? Have you studied about brain? There are two halves of the brain, and this two half is known as right hemisphere and left hemisphere. That also you may have studied. Between this right and left brain, there is a middle connection here. It's a bundle of nerves are connecting right hemisphere and left hemisphere. That bundle is known by the name corpus callosum. So the right part of the brain is connected with the left part of the brain by a bundle of nerve fiber that is known by the name corpus callosum. So they do not have corpus callosum. What is the meaning of that? Because corpus callosum is present in advanced mammal, there is efficient interaction between the right side of the brain and left side of the brain. So in the absence of that, right side of the brain cannot communicate with the left side of the brain. Both are working as two separate brain. So that is a problem with the corpus callosum. So the efficiency of the brain might be far reduced. Then living forms lack teeth. So we know that almost all the mammals we know have a teeth, but fossil forms have teeth. So in the case of prototremata, there are very few groups of animals are there still surviving, and most of them do not have any teeth. But we have observed that in the fossil remains of prototheria, some of the fossils of prototheria are showing teeth. So that is also another. Then monotremata or monotremes retain reptile-like gait. Gait means mode of walking. You know how a crocodile is walking, how a lizard is walking. They are not walking just like the human beings or a dog or cat is walking. It's slightly different type of walking, sideways, bending is there. So that kind of walking is known as reptilian gait. Gait means mode or style of walking. So with legs on the side, here you can see that just like their legs are placed far away from the side of the body. So that will be helping in more sideways gait. So that is one characteristics of the prototheria. They are walking like reptiles, or reptilian gait is still present. Then monotremes means single opening in Greek, referring to cloaca. Cloaca is actually the common opening for the discharge of urine, as well as it's a common opening for reproductive purpose as well as excretory purpose. In most of the advanced mammal, there is separate openings for elimination of urine, elimination of feces, and elimination of sperm or ovum. So here there is no such a thing. There is only one common opening. So that is why it is known as a monotrimata. Monotrimata, that means indicating only cloaca is present. The cloaca is a common urinogenital opening. So these are some of the important features of Prototheria, and we will discuss some living examples of monotrimata. We have duck-billed platypus is there, short-beaked echidna is there, Sir David's long-beaked echidna is there, Eastern long-beaked echidna and Western long-beaked echidna. So these are the different, so all these four except the platypus, these are the different types of echidna. So these are the 5 species of animals or mammals which are surviving still in the present world, and they are highly endangered and they are also highly protected. Okay, so these are the 5 animals which are still surviving. You can see the nature of this animal. The first one is known as a duck-billed platypus, because the nature of the beak is almost like the nature of a duck beak. That is known as a duck-billed platypus. It's a very strange animal. When first time it was discovered and the specimen of this animal has been taken to London Museum, somebody there believed that this is not a real animal. Somebody has stuffed or sewed these different parts of an animal, like duck and the tail of some other animal, into the body of some dog-sized animal and made it appear like that. So because it is completely different from how other animals are appearing. So that's why that kind of confusion came to even scientists in the early days of zoology. So now coming to the examples, we have first example, that is echidna. Echidna, in the case of echidna, it is commonly known by a spiny anteater. Spiny means the body is covered with a lot of spines. That is why it is known as a spiny anteater. Then why it is known as anteater? Because their main food is ants. So that is why they are known as anteater. Then burrowing nature. They have a if you look at the legs of this animal, they are very strong. That is why very strong, large claws are not like our nails. Our nails are flat. We cannot have very strong nails. If you compare the nails with other groups of animals, mammals especially, their nails are very strong, very powerful, claw-like. But that is not the case with human being. Here also the nails are very strong, very powerful. That can be used for burrowing. Then they have a snout. This is known as a snout. Snout means the pointed portion of the mouth. It's a long pointed snout. And inside that long pointed mouth or long pointed snout, they have a sticky tongue. The tongue is very long as well as sticky. And this long sticky tongue will be protruded out from the mouth, and maybe almost the size of the mouth itself. That will be put into the holes of the ants. Or into the nest of the ants, and the ants will be sticking on the tongue, and that will be taken into the mouth and will be eaten. So this is how the echidna is actually catching ants by use of their long sticky tongue. So that is how the mode of feeding. Now coming to the temperature. Normally if you take the temperature of most of the animals, mammals, our temperature is 37 degrees. So that is the temperature of most of the other groups of animals also. The body temperature is around 37 degrees in most of the animals. So in the case of echidna also, their body temperature is far higher than the body temperature of reptile. But still it is far below the body temperature of most of the other groups of animals. Most other mammals have a temperature above 35. In the case of human beings it is 37. Here it is 31. So that means, that's why scientists are calling it as unfinished mammal. They have moved away from reptilian nature, but they have not reached the full perfection as a mammal. So they have this bodily temperature controlling mechanism, but it is not so efficient. That is why the temperature of the body is very low compared with other groups of animals. They are able to keep temperature only at a lower level. Then teats, teats means nipple. So nipples are absent. So that is one important difficulty this group of animals are facing. In almost all the modern mammals, there is a organ or there is a structure for giving milk to the mouth of the baby. But in the case of these mammals, they do not have any nipple. So what these animals are doing is that the milk will be simply discharged into the hair, and the babies of these animals will be sucking the milk that is present on the body hair. That is how the babies of these animals are drinking the milk. So there is no proper teat or nipple. Young licks up the milk soaked in the hair. So that is how. So and because of that, they have because that is not a hygienic way. So there is every possibility that the baby can get some kind of infection easily, or bacteria or virus can easily enter into the mouth and stomach of the baby. So to prevent that, the milk is containing a antibiotic-like substance or antibacterial protein is there. So because of the presence of this antibacterial protein in the milk, even though the babies of these animals are sucking milk like that from the hair, they are still protected because this is nature's way of protecting the baby. So even though they have a very crude mechanism of giving milk, still because of the presence of this antibacterial protein, the babies of these animals are protected. Then we have the second example. Coming to the second example, this is the duck-billed platypus. So we have four species of echidna, and regarding the name of this species, these are the different names: short-beaked, David long-beaked echidna, eastern long-beaked echidna, western long-beaked echidna. Now we will come to the ornithorhynchus. Ornithorhynchus is the scientific name of duck-billed platypus. So you know why it is considered duck-billed platypus? Because the nature of the beak is almost like the beak of a duck. That is why we are calling it as a duck-billed platypus. Then semi-aquatic. Aquatic means animals which are living in water. So this group of animals are semi-aquatic, means they are, some of the time they may be living in water, some of the time they may be living on land. So that is why they are known as semi-aquatic mammal and also egg-laying mammal. So that's already clear. Then endemic to Eastern Australia, including Tasmania. Eastern Australia means, for example, you know that in Australia there are different regions. Sydney is on the eastern side of Australia. So in those areas where mainly we are finding this duck-billed platypus. And Tasmania is also a small island which is located on the southern side of Australia. So on the southern part of Australia there is a small island, and capital of the island is known as Hobart. It is a more colder than compared to the other areas of Australia. So because it is far away from other areas of Australia, more south. So they are the regions where we can find this ornithorhynchus or duck-billed platypus. Then they sense us prey through electrolocation. Electro means electricity, locating animal around us by using electrical sensors. So there are many type of animals. For example, in some fishes also this electrolocation is there. So they will be continuously producing some electric field around them. And if any animal is coming across that electric field or cross into that electric field, its body will be dictating that. So it's a very strange way of, we don't have such type of senses. So in case of platypus, they are able to, for example, they are mostly living in water, and or sometimes they will be living in burrows and near the river or in a pond. So when they are in water, they will be producing electric field around their body. If some animal enter into this electric field, that there will be a breaking of that electrical field, that animal can easily detect. So this is how they are detecting prey. Then coming to the difference between male and female platypus. In case of male platypus, there is a spur. Spur means a spine, a small spine on the hind foot. So hind foot means the posterior legs. So that spine is a distinguishing feature by which we will be able to identify whether animal is a male or male platypus or a female platypus. Then use its tail for store. See, if you look at its tail, you can see that tail is very stout, very big and very stout. Lot of fat is stored in the tail. So tail is acting as a storage organ for fat. Because these animals are mostly living in colder area, their body has to contain lot of fat. So in order to have enough fat, they have a storage system in which the fat is mainly stored in the tail region. Then nostrils are located on the dorsal side of the snout. Here you can see that this is the snout, and if you look at that, here there are two small openings are there. On the top there are two small openings are there, and these openings are the nostrils. So it is through nostrils that the animal is capable of taking oxygen or air. So purpose of these nostrils is they are located above the snout, because when animal is floating or swimming in water, most of the time this part is above water. So it is like it is like swimming. This part is always above water, and remaining portion will be below water. So only the nostrils are up. So animal can breathe even when it is swimming in water. It will be very easy for the animal to breathe while they are swimming. So that is why nostrils are placed on the dorsal surface of the water, surface of the snout. Eyes and ears are located in a groove just back from it. So regarding the eyes and ear, their position is just behind. This is the nostril, and just behind this we can find eyes as well as the ear. So these are and both are not so highly developed because they have other kinds of sense organ like echolocation. So that is why the ear is present, and eyes are also present, but they are not so highly efficient compared to the other groups of animals. So this is an idea regarding the second example, that is the platypus, otherwise known by the name ornithorhynchus, and both the animals are present only in Australia as well as in New Guinea. So there are 5 species. We have to study 2 examples. One example is as per our syllabus. These are the echidna is one example. Then ornithorhynchus is the second example. So and now we have 2 more subclasses, sir. And regarding the subclass Metatheria, we will be discussing in our next class. So today we stop here.